I am gaming. I am gaming. I am gaming podcast.
Hey everybody, my name is Ivica. Thank you so much for being on the latest episode of I Am Gaming Podcast, a podcast about the video game industry, entrepreneurship, gaming nostalgia, and many more things I find to be in the same realm of creative, business, and entrepreneurial ventures. This is episode 59, so we're really close to episode 60. That episode will come in the first week of 2021. So as always, at the very end, a huge thanks to all of my Patreon supporters. You really make this podcast possible. Check out all of their ventures, YouTube channels, video games, and many more cool stuff in the link in the description below. It features every one of my patrons, will continue to do so, and you can check out all of the cool things, amazing things they're making, working on, building and expanding, and every single one of them is well worth your time. So like always, again, huge thanks for your support, especially in this troublesome, turbulent, and very obnoxious 2020. Your pledges really mean a lot to me, and you make this podcast possible. If you too are considering becoming a patron, check out the link in the description below. It will take you to my Patreon page, and there you can choose to give me $1 or something like that, and I would be really grateful and appreciate it very much. Now, this 59th episode will be all about making that dollar, as the song says, and the essential importance of creating your first buck or any other currency, digital or fiat, that can show you that your venture, your concept, your idea, your plan is actually working. And I think this is essential because even though $1 is pretty low amount or equivalent in any other currency for most of the world, including really poor countries and underdeveloped nations where $1 is a lot more than, let's say, in the US, it's still no fortune anywhere you go, but it is potentially your own fortune or start of your own fortune, because it shows you an essential element for any successful venture, and that is the sheer fact that your venture is working. Now, why is this single dollar as important or relevant element? Too often people consider their ventures as something that will become workable, open to monetization at some future point. That very well may be the case, but the problem begins where that dollar does not come, and when you're building something to sell it for $1 million. That could work, that could result in the outcome you're seeking, but nothing is stopping you from making $1 and then selling it all for $1 million. So have that in mind. We're living in a time and space of our planet when so many entities, so many platforms will beckon you to dream bigger, build bolder, create huge and massive things that can one day become the next Facebook, the next Apple, the next Microsoft. And that is possible for a tiny group of people. For everyone else, chances are that this massive venture will fizzle out completely. So it's essential to consider if your venture, project, plan, YouTube channel, video game is viable, if you're able to make that single buck. Nothing is going to stop you from making $1 million after that. There's no rule that says that you can either make 1 million or $1, and when you choose $1, you forfeit the ability to choose that million. That is simply not true. And often people are hesitant about entering that pool, jumping into the same water, and finding out that their venture cannot even create $1. So they keep telling themselves that it will be one day worth 1 million, but there's no need to check if it's worth a single dollar right now. For me, that can turn into a huge issue. Sure, some will create the next Facebook, but if you're counting on that, then anything from the regular rule set is irrelevant. You're simply going to become a unicorn no matter what, and you need no introduction into regular rules, no advice, no guidance. You have it all figured out, and you simply need to become that incredible entity you're destined to be one day. So in that case, feel free to ignore this, but also feel free to ignore anything else you might come across, because you have figured it out. For everyone else, which is 99.9% of people listening to this, rule set applies. The guidance and guidebooks are needed, and that $1 needs to be in your wallet or your digital account before you get to $10, before you get to 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, and 1 million bucks. So you need to create that first dollar initially. I'm saying this because monetization is something, in my mind, everyone should have on their radar. Avoiding it is simply an emotional need to say that your venture is still in that Schrödinger space. It's neither successful or unsuccessful. It's in limbo, and the moment when you open the box is the moment when you ask yourself, can I create that single buck? After that, you learn it's viable or it's not viable. Because if you can't earn a single buck, chances are that no one is going to pay you 1 million either for it. Sure, there are plenty of examples in the last 30 years, especially from the digital domain, that show otherwise. But again, these are anomalies. If you're counting on becoming an anomaly, nothing is important. You will become it because it's destined for you. It's written in the stars, and nothing will impact that. So there's no need for you to check out and listen to any kind of advice. You have it zeroed in. Everyone else needs this. Everyone else needs that single buck. So if you're working on a venture and it has a financial element to it, your first dollar is essential. You need to get that dollar home. You need to get it in your pocket, in your digital wallet, wherever you like. But it will show you that your venture has the potential to make money. It's like drilling a hole, looking for any kind of valuable thing, or oil, whatever you might think of, plutonium, uranium, maybe not that. A lot of holes will have absolutely nothing in them. You'll drill and drill and drill and you'll get nothing. But when you do get something, even if it's a tiny, most minuscule amount, it's a sign that at least there is something. Maybe there's a golden line in it and it will give you a ton of gold. Maybe there'll be no more gold, but at least you found something, and that's a signal. That's that essential signal, in psychological sense more than anything else, that your efforts resulted in something directly material. It might sound trivial, $1 is really not that much wherever you go, but it showcases a simple fact that there is ore on the place you're standing upon. Even if it's that single one nugget, there is still some of it there. And most of the time, there won't be any. And that's also important to recognize. If there isn't any, it's time to change your plan, change your boring tactics. Looking for different things is also an option. You need to stay adaptable. But first, you need to open that box, open that monetization Schrödinger box, and find out what's in it. That's the $1 test. So think about it, consider it, figure out if you're into creating value, monetary value. That first buck should be in your pocket. Soon or now, but not in 5 years, not in a plan where you make $1 million before you make a single buck. That was all for this episode of I'm Gaming Podcast. Hopefully I came across clear with this idea and you got something valuable from it. I discuss and explore these notions in my book called The Pursuit of Micro Success. You can find it on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description below, which also talks about small ventures, how you can explore your entrepreneurial instincts and drives in a way that's flexible, easily attainable in the rest of your life. It doesn't create a huge disruption in the way you live your ordinary life. It simply adds to it and is all about creating those small values first and then scaling up if they provide enough or provide enough oil, whatever you might be looking for and have that potential. So check out my book. Again, link is in the description below. And that's all from me. Hopefully your venture will be able to make that first essential buck, and I wish you all the best. Like always, I would love to hear your thoughts and comments on all of this, so please feel free to leave them in the description below. And if you didn't already subscribe to my channel, I would love to have you around for future videos. If you found this inspiring or interesting or informative, please share it with your friends. That's all from me. Have a great 2021. Hopefully things turn out for the better for all of us with the pandemic, but also with our individual lives. And 2021 will be a shining new example of how a great year might look like. I'll talk to you again in 2021. Until then, have a great week and bye bye.